Okay, this is the second tutorial dealing primarily with Python basics. So go ahead and open your command line program and type in Python. We're just going to be working in Python here for just a little bit. So we started out the last tutorial by defining some variables. Defining variables is a very important part of programming, especially for scientists. We need to keep track of the different variables that we have. So most of your problems will be solved by defining variables and then doing operations on those variables. So to get an idea of what that means, let's go ahead and practice. Let's define a variable called a, and then equals 5. I put the spaces in between equals so that it's nice and readable. That's important for being able to catch errors and fix bugs later on, so get into the habit of making things look nice and clean. So we have a equals 5, we press enter. If we just type in a, the computer will show us, oh, the value that is stored in the variable a is 5. We can do the same thing with b equals 3. If we do b, then the value that's stored in b is 3. So now we can do some basic mathematics on a and b. So let's do some arithmetic. A plus b, Python tells us that it's 8, which is correct. We could do a minus b, which just is 2. Then we can do a times b is 15, and so forth. So we could do a divided by b, but something interesting happens here. It does not quite give us an accurate picture. We'll get into this a little bit more later on when we talk about different data types, but for now, just know that when we want to divide, make sure that at least one of the variables has a decimal point in them. That way the computer knows now how to compute an accurate division of numbers. Okay, so those are the basic operators. Let's take a look at some others. We could do a star star b, and what that is going to do is it is going to give us the exponent. A lot of times in other mathematical programs you'll probably see the caret sign. Python does not recognize the caret sign. It uses a star star notation to denote a to the b power, or in this case it's 5 to the 3 power, or 5 cubed, which is indeed 125. Notice what I did earlier up here. I redefined the variable. Python will overwrite what you previously put into a variable. So also another handy feature is you can use the up arrow to go to your previous commands that you've used before. That's what I'm doing right now. You can press the down arrow to get back to where you were, so you can play around with that. That also works on the command line. But if we wanted to reassign a value of 6 to a, we could do that. A is now 6. If we do a divided by b, it will actually give us the proper integer, which is 2. So a star star b, we know that that was the exponent. Other useful arithmetic that we can do is a percent b. Now the percent sign stands for modular arithmetic. So the way to think about this is if we do a divided by b, then give me the remainder of what's left over. So if you can't, if it doesn't divide evenly, then give me back the remainder. If it does divide evenly, then it's just going to go to 0. In this case, what we're saying is 6 divided by 3, which divides evenly, so it's 0. 3 goes into 6 2 times with a remainder of 0. So it gave us the remainder. Now if we do b equals 4, things are going to come out just a little bit different. A divided by b gives us the remainder. It's going to be 2. 4 goes into 6 one time with 2 remainder. And well, I guess it goes into, yeah, 2.5 times with 2 remainder. Okay, so if we wanted to do something different, let's go back to b equals 3. We can do a divide b. That gives us how many times b goes into a. So now if we have b, which is 3 again, the number that we should get out is 2, because 3 goes into 6 2 times. And that is what we get. If we redefine b equals 4 and then do a divide b, then we get that 4 goes into 6 only one time evenly. So these two things can be very important for us when we're trying to split numbers up or figure out what the decimal part of a number is versus what's the integer part of a number, and so forth. Okay, but not only can variables be numbers, but they can also be a sequence of letters or other characters. So let's go ahead and define a equals quotation mark and then Derek. So in this case, this is my first name, and we press enter. So when it's in quotation marks, it recognizes that A is actually something called Derek and not a number. So B might equal Miller, which is my last name, and we could do A plus B, but if you watch the other tutorial, you know that that'll just glue them together, and it gives my name as Derek Miller without any space between it. So if we wanted to do my full name, in fact, we could even call the variable name equals A plus, and then we can do a space plus B. Now notice what I did here. We have A, which we know to be Derek. We have a plus sign, which is an operation on words called concatenation. So it's just going to glue this. It's going to glue Derek together with, now we have some empty space in the quotation marks. That is literally going to be what we glue to Derek. We're going to glue an empty space to Derek, and then we're going to glue his last name on as well. So that didn't print out anything, so if we wanted to see what name was, it says, oh, Derek Miller with a space is stored in the variable name. This is slightly different from computer output. This is mostly just showing us what the value of name is. So now we can be introduced to the print function. So when we say print, and then we can type in a variable, we are saying literally put this output on the screen. So print name, Derek Miller. Notice this Derek Miller is not in quotation marks while this is. The reason for that is because this is showing what the value of name is. This is just literally printing that value out onto the screen. So another famous thing that is sort of an initiation rite for all people who program is to have the computer display the words hello world. So what we can do is we can say print space and then open quote hello world and then close quotation. And then when we press enter, the computer now displays hello world. Alright, so those are some basic things that you can do with Python. Now what I want to show you is, let's get out of Python by typing quit. So now we're back onto the command line. Let's go ahead and clear the stuff that's on the screen. Remember that clear does not work in Python mode. It only works on the command line. So here we are. Now what I have done, if you remember from the last tutorial, is I can move directories. So if we have my directories here, then I can change directory to desktop. That's where I'm going to want to be right now. And what I have done, and what I recommend that you do as well, is you create a directory on your desktop called Python. You can either do that by clicking on your desktop and choosing new folder, or you can create it in the command line by typing in mkdir and then the name of the directory you want to make, and it will make it in the current folder that you are in. So if I wanted to type code into this directory, notice what appeared over here. It created a folder called code, and if I list, I now have a new folder called code. Another handy thing that you can do to remove things is you can type in rm, and that will remove files after you type in the file .txt or whatever, if there was a file on the desktop. You can remove directories. It's a little bit more complicated, but we won't get into that right now. So let's go ahead and move into our Python directory by typing in cd python. So this is what I recommend that you do in order to store all of your exercises in the code that you're working on. It doesn't have to be named Python. It can be named whatever you want it to be named. But this is the directory that we want to move into to work with our files. So here I have a bunch of different files open, or not open, excuse me, but showing. So now what we need to do is we need to open up our text editor. So mine is called Text Wrangler in this tutorial. It's just a program that allows you to type in text. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and save it. Save as. And we'll type example1. And we won't want it to be .txt. We're going to type in code, so it's going to be .py. Alright, so we'll go ahead and save that to the desktop for now. And notice it created it down here. And we'll move that into our Python folder in just a second. So now what we can do is we can actually type in text that will be Python code. The first thing that I want you to practice is to type in comments at the very beginning. So here we have the octothorpe symbol, sometimes known in these days as a hashtag. That allows us to put comments in our Python code. It will not display on the screen. It is only a reminder to us that, oh yeah, this is what's going on. So this is our first program. So that helps us know what this program is going to do, what it's about. So let's go ahead and type in what we typed into the command line. So we'll say print, and we can say open, so remember the quotation mark, hello world, close quotation. And then we can type enter again, and we can type print, and then open quotation, how are you, question mark, close quotation. Alright, so let's go ahead and save this, and we'll go ahead and close out of that. So move this into the Python folder, which we have done. So now that it's in the Python folder, we could have saved it there. That's probably what we should have done. But notice where we are. So if I type in ls, we have example1.py over here. In order to run it, you type python example1.py, press enter, and look, it displayed everything. So that's our tutorial on Python basics.